What if I told you the single greatest secret to becoming incredibly powerful is to stop trying so hard? I know, it sounds completely backward. It sounds like a paradox from a cheap self-help book. But what if this secret wasn't just some modern-day life hack? What if it was a deep, fundamental truth about reality, understood by two of the most towering minds in all of human history, men who lived on opposite sides of the world, separated by thousands of years, who somehow arrived at the exact same conclusion? On one side, we have Friedrich Nietzsche, the fierce German philosopher who championed the relentless, all-consuming will to power. And on the other, Lao Tzu, the legendary, almost mythical Chinese sage who taught the gentle art of Wu Wei, the profound wisdom of effortless action. Let's start with Nietzsche. When you picture him, you probably see that iconic, intimidating mustache and an intense, piercing gaze. His philosophy feels just like that: strong, uncompromising, demanding. He gave us this earth-shattering concept, the will to power. Now, the moment you hear that phrase, your mind probably jumps to images of conquest, domination, forcing your will upon the world. But that's a huge, and I mean huge, misunderstanding. It's the comic book villain version of Nietzsche. For Nietzsche, the will to power wasn't primarily about ruling over other people. It was about ruling the empire of yourself. It is the fundamental, biological, spiritual drive inside every living thing to grow, to expand, to overcome obstacles, and to express its fullest, most vibrant potential. Think of a tiny, fragile seed buried under a heavy slab of concrete. It doesn't just give up, it pushes, it strains, it channels all of its life force into one goal, breaking through the darkness and reaching the sun. That relentless internal drive, that is the will to power. A petty tyrant who needs to control others, to make them bend to his will, is actually expressing a weak and desperate will to power. Think about it. They need constant external validation because they haven't conquered their own inner chaos. True power for Nietzsche was always about self-overcoming. It's a battle fought and won within your own soul. So you try it, you push yourself, you grind, you hustle. You channel that inner fire to achieve your goals, but then what happens? You hit a wall, a massive, unforgiving wall. You burn out completely. Your relentless effort starts to backfire, creating more stress and more resistance than progress. Is this really the path to power? Or is it a path to a breakdown? Now let's travel halfway across the world and 2,000 years back in time. We find a figure shrouded in legend, Lao Tzu, the old master. He's the complete opposite of Nietzsche. Calm, flowing, mysterious. He gave the world the Tao Te Ching, and in it, a concept that seems like the polar opposite of the will to power. He called it Wu Wei. It translates, roughly, to non-action, or more accurately, effortless action. Wu Wei is not about being lazy. It's not about sitting on the couch and hoping for the best. Far from it. It's a state of intelligent, spontaneous action that is so perfectly in tune with the natural flow of the universe, the Tao, that it appears as if you're doing nothing at all. Imagine a master boatman navigating a raging river. A novice tries to paddle directly against the powerful current, straining every muscle, exhausting himself, and getting absolutely nowhere. He's fighting the river, but the master, He doesn't fight the river. He feels its hidden currents. He understands them. He makes tiny, precise adjustments, using the river's own immense power to guide his boat exactly where he wants to go, faster, and with less effort than the novice could ever dream of. That is Wu Wei. It's a state of supreme skill that looks like magic to an outsider. It's grace. It's flow. It's achieving the maximum effect with the minimum amount of misapplied effort. It's the art of getting out of your own way. So you try that instead. You decide to let go. You stop pushing and just go with the flow. But then what happens? You feel directionless and aimless. You're just drifting, passively waiting for things to happen. How can you achieve anything great without drive, without intention, without, well, will? And here we are at the heart of the paradox. On one hand, a philosophy of intense, driving will. On the other, a philosophy of effortless, flowing action. They seem like mortal enemies. But what if we've been looking at them all wrong? What if they aren't opposing forces at all? What if they are actually two sides of the very same coin, describing the same ultimate state of mastery? Let's go back to Nietzsche. Remember how we said the highest expression of the will to power wasn't dominating others, but mastering yourself. He had a name for this ideal human, the Übermensch. The Übermensch has so thoroughly conquered his own internal fears, his petty desires, and his chaotic impulses that his actions are no longer born from struggle. They are born from joy, from a deep, life-affirming power. Nietzsche wrote that the ultimate sign of the Übermensch was that he would dance through life. He doesn't trudge, he doesn't fight, he dances. Now think about Lao Tzu's sage, the master of Wu Wei. This person acts from a place of deep inner stillness. They are free from the frantic striving of the ego. Their actions are spontaneous, natural, and perfectly appropriate to the moment. Do you see it now? The connection is breathtaking. Both Nietzsche's ideal man and Lao Tzu's ideal sage have achieved a state where the war is over. But the war was never against the world. The war was always and only within. Think of a master archer. He pulls back the heavy bowstring his muscles taut. This requires immense strength, immense will. That is the will to power in action. But as he aims, he doesn't force the shot. He breathes, he aligns. He becomes one with the bow, the arrow, and the target. In that final moment, he simply lets go. The release itself was an act of non-doing. Was that immense effort, or was it effortless? It was both. This is the state that modern psychology calls flow. It's what a musician feels when the music isn't coming from them, but through them. It's what an athlete experiences in the zone, performing incredible feats without conscious thought, moving with a grace that seems superhuman. That perfect intersection. That is where the will to power is expressed through Wu Wei. The ultimate secret is this. The relentless, grinding effort we usually associate with power is a symptom. It's a sign of internal friction. You're fighting yourself. Your conscious mind is fighting your intuition. Your desire for security is fighting your desire for growth. The true masters, both East and West, understood this profound truth. This sounds amazing in theory, but how do we actually apply this in our own lives? How do we stop the internal war and start dancing? Well, it boils down to a few key shifts in perspective. First, you must identify the current. This is the Tao. In modern terms, what is the natural direction of your talents and genuine passions? What activities make you feel alive and energized, rather than drained and resentful? Pay attention to that feeling. It's your internal compass pointing you toward the current. So much of our struggle comes from trying to swim against our own nature. We force ourselves into careers, relationships, and habits that go against our deepest grain, all because of external expectations. This is like paddling upstream in a typhoon. It's a colossal, soul-crushing waste of your will to power. Second, you must practice letting go of the outcome. The part of you that obsesses over results, that craves control, that is terrified of failure, that voice is your ego. And the ego is the source of all the friction. It's the clumsy novice in the boat, grabbing the paddle and fighting the water, convinced it knows better than the river. By focusing on the process, on the quality of the action itself, you quiet the ego. You immerse yourself in the present moment. The master boatman isn't thinking about the destination. He's feeling the river right now. The destination is a natural consequence of navigating the present perfectly. And third, and this might be the most important part, learn to see struggle as a compass, not a battering ram. In our culture, we're taught that when we face resistance, we should just push harder, double down, grind it out. But what if that feeling of intense, frustrating struggle isn't a sign to increase your force? What if it's a signal from the universe, from your own deeper self, that you are out of alignment? It's a sign that you're fighting the current, and the current will always win. It's not telling you to give up. It's telling you to find a better way. Think about trying to write something or solve a complex problem. You can sit there for hours, forcing it, banging your head against the wall and get nowhere. That's crude will to power. Or you can recognize the resistance, let it go, take a walk, and allow the solution to arise spontaneously. That's Wu Wei. When the idea finally clicks, when the path becomes clear, you attack it with focused, joyful, powerful energy. Now, your will is no longer fighting against resistance. It is flowing, like a mighty river that has finally found its natural course to the sea. You have transformed brute force struggle into a state of powerful, effortless flow. So, the fierce German and the gentle Chinese master were pointing to the same mountaintop from different sides. They understood that ultimate power isn't about imposing your will on the world. It's about a much deeper, much more difficult task. It's about so completely mastering your inner world, your desires, your fears, your will, that it aligns perfectly with the outer world. It's about becoming such a pure channel for your own potential that your actions become as natural and as powerful as a river flowing to the sea. You stop fighting against the current because you have finally realized that you are the current. Your personal will and the will of the universe are no longer in conflict. They have become one and the same. They are in a dance. The path to immense power doesn't lie in more effort, but in perfectly aligned effort. So the next time you feel like you're struggling for power, for control, ask yourself a different question. What if the secret to achieving everything was to stop trying so hard?